Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.
Good day, ladies and gents. I'm Emilio A. Colon. Welcome to the EAC Show. Coming to you from sunny South Florida. I got Marcus Mack on the sound and Marcus Mack on the video today.
Yo.
Sitting next to me, I got UCF activist, overall sports enthusiast, the big one, Cameron Dinnan. Cameron, what's going on, man?
Not much. How we doing?
Good to see you again. Missed you this weekend, man.
Absolutely, yeah. I heard you had a solo performance.
Yeah, Friday shows are difficult. I ain't gonna lie. Friday shows are a little tough. You know, you gotta pretty much monologue on yourself and make sure you don't sound like you're lecturing the audience, you know what I'm saying? But I think I did a good job and we got through it.
Yeah, it could be tough given 3 shows in 5 days, but, we do it for the people.
Oh, definitely. Without question. We do appreciate it. Please click like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff on all the social media platforms. All the love we're getting, we appreciate it. Now, Marcus Mack, why don't you get into the topics that we have on today's show?
Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about the UFC 248, the fight from March 7th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. That was a hell of a lineup of fights.
Big fights. If you follow our social media page, we posted some of that stuff on there, especially what we got on episode 13 coming in hot with that knockout, boy. That knockout looked ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly. Yeah,
it was
definitely.
ugly.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the NBA weekend scores and recaps of Bucks versus the Lakers versus the Clippers.
Yes, absolutely.
Then we're going to talk about XFL Week 5 recap. And just a little preview of Week 6, dates, times, channels, and that whole lineup. And then we got a new segment today.
Yeah, our new segment.
Yeah, Social Media Mondays, where me, Cam, and Emilio, we're going to be discussing the topics from our social media over the weekend that we was discussing amongst each other. Just little topics.
Yeah, we decided to come up, Cam, Marcus, and myself decided to come up with Social Media Mondays because we're constantly just DMing each other all types of stuff that we see throughout the weekend. So some of the top listed stuff that we shared throughout the weekend, we're going to discuss on Mondays from now on.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. It should be a good way to bring in everyone from social onto the show.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right into it, and we're going to discuss about the fight that happened over the weekend, UFC 248, T-Mobile Arena, pay-per-view, ESPN Plus. Now, we're going to address it a different manner the way it went.
Right,
though.
we might not be talking about the same fight.
No. We're gonna address it. First, we're going to talk about the main event, and then we're going to talk about what we deemed as the real main event, which was the co-main event with the women. So we're going to talk about the main event first, and then here on the EAC show, we deemed as the women being the main event because they fought their you-know-what's off.
It was at least 5 times better of a fight.
It was insane. So, Marcus Mack, you also were watching the fight. So, you were watching Yoel Romero versus Israel Adesanya.
Yes.
And you were holding it down for us. Unfortunately, once again, it was a snooze fest for me. So, I didn't get a chance to see it until the next day.
It was a snooze fest for all of us.
I mean, I when I saw it again, I saw that I didn't miss much.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely a snooze fest for all of us.
I'm glad you got to see the women's fight. I know we're jumping ahead of our game here, but I'm glad you got to see that fight the next day because I'd watch that fight
absolutely
again over and over.
Real quick, I want to address something that I didn't know about until just now. I thought Marcus was joking when he posted this on social. So you guys actually had a wager?
We had a little wager,
yes,
yeah.
We did.
Marcus came out to me and he just said, "Who you got for this fight?" And I said Romero.
You had Adesanya.
Adesanya, yes.
I went. I'm always one to go against the grain, so I'm like, let me pick the underdog here. And I'm like, what's the stakes? And Marcus Mack hit me with, what'd you hit me with?
100 push-ups on demand.
100 push-ups for the loser on demand. I swindled my way to 50 because I took the 2 plus 210 underdog. So I'm like, I'm taking the underdog. I'm going out on a limb here. I'll bust you out 50 if I lose. Marcus got the 100. So I got.
So the reason why
we might get a little extra something for y'all today.
Yeah, but that's what I was just about to say.
That.
So the reason why I bring that up is because you weren't here on Friday's show, but on Friday's show, Marcus Mack at the end of the show, and unfortunately we don't have the visual because we had some technical issues that we were fixing and we got better with that, so don't worry about that. But Marcus Mack banged out 40 and some change, I think it was 40 something push-ups or whatever,
42.
And he gave me an over/under, and I said 27, and he blew that out of the frame. I didn't think he was gonna cut 27, so he literally knocked out more than 27 push-ups that day.
Disrespect.
I was disrespecting him like there was no other.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see what Cam has for me today. I'll see if he's washed up.
First of all, I am washed up.
You are?
But second of all, I will give you the 50 burger and maybe 2 sets of 25.
There we go. Man of his word.
I'll give you a
man of his word. So let's talk about the fight a little bit. Let's get to the fight or the lack thereof of of a fight.
So we definitely talking about the last fight first.
Yes, we're talking about the last fight. We're talking about Yoel Romero and Adesanya. Yes, right. Absolutely. Okay. So a lot of people were complaining, and a lot of people were sitting there saying that these guys were just standing there dancing and stuff like that, not really engaging in the fight. In my opinion, for Adesanya, he didn't really have to fight. He was the champion.
Right.
As a contender for Romero, you have to go out there and you have to go win that fight if you want to be crowned champion.
Right.
The champion doesn't have to defeat you. He just doesn't have to lose. That's the difference.
Yeah, you nailed it perfectly. And that's exactly what Joe Rogan said the last round as they were fighting. Just saying that Romero has done a great job as a challenger to engage him and to go after him. He was the aggressor throughout the fight because, again, he is the contender. So he was walking towards Adesanya the entire fight, but he didn't do enough at the end of it. He didn't do what he needs to do, which is beat the champion, because the champion just needs to not lose, like you said. He just needs to sort of do enough to get the points.
Well, Romero was actually the first one to land a punch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
yeah, he landed
the first one with a counter.
The only punch in the first round he landed.
Only punch. No, I think that was the second round because they was dancing around the whole first.
Nah, he got a punch in the first.
That was the first
round?
round?
Oh, you talking about the left? They hit him with?
Yeah, counter. It was the counter. Yeah. And Adesanya, he really was running the whole time. If you've seen the post fight interview, that's what he was saying. He said people came to see a fight.
But once again, and we posted it on IG for you guys that follow us on the IG page. If not, take a look at it. We posted what Romero was saying, and it is. But you have to understand, Adesanya he said it was cliche. He did say, "Listen, it's cliche, but I just came here to do what I had to do. Yeah. I can't engage in a fight if the person doesn't want to fight with me." So if Romero didn't want to bring it to him, which he needed to do in order to win that championship, Adesanya just did what he had to do. He took care of business, and he won his money, and he won the fight.
Yeah, this was a fill-in. Romero, again, he was a fill-in because someone got injured. So he was given this opportunity as a 42-year-old guy. That's right, I picked a guy that was 12 years older to win this fight, so that's just on me. But he got close enough. The three judges scored it 47-46, 47-46, 49-46. And 48, 47, 48, 47, 49, 46. So it was unanimous, but it was very close. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't feel bad about picking Romero because I told Marcus after the fight that the only reason why Adesanya won was because of his leg kicks.
Absolutely.
He was just getting free points whenever he wanted.
Yeah, he was just being really active with those leg kicks. And it's funny because Romero in the press conference after the fight, they asked him about how his leg was doing. He decided to get up and do a little salsa dance to prove there was nothing wrong with his leg. When Adesanya's sitting there trying to say he did a lot of damage to him. But no, I really did watch the fight afterwards, and I really did feel like that Romero just didn't do enough. You have to do more. You have to go out. You have to get the crowd behind you. You have to force the crowd to get into the ears of the judges to make a different decision than what they're actually watching.
Right, and the fans didn't feel compelled enough in order to give that sway to Romero. It was just, and it was a boring fight, yes, but at a lot of times it was a fun fight to watch because both of these guys, Adesanya and Romero, are both very methodical in how they fight. You see how they're picking and choosing. Romero, just speaking on him, he only takes what the other fighter gives him.
Absolutely.
All the punches that he landed were in counter to something that Adesanya was doing. So it was fun to watch that element, other than just a straight up brawl, which we normally see.
His blows definitely were all counters.
Yeah, they were calculated.
Definitely. Right. But what's crazy is that because Adesanya, I can understand why he was fighting that way, is because Adesanya has way more reach than him. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And as far as fighting goes, I think Adesanya is definitely the more aggressive fighter.
Yes, agreed. Because Adesanya did state after the fight, he said, "Listen, I was completely focused with my corner, my coach, and we had a game plan. He likes to do all this extra stuff to try to get you out of your, rhythm and out of your focus." Yeah. He said, "Listen, I just literally just put on a tactician clinic to where I was just going to stay in my game plan and just stick to that, and that's it." And he did say it sound cliche, but he did what he have to do to win the title, win again, and defend the title, and he did.
Right. I mean, he got out of there alive, and yeah, it was a close bout, but he just did enough to survive and advance. And it was a little strange in the first round, seeing them get a feel for each other, because it was like that in the entire match pretty much. And I sent you something on IG which made me think about social media Mondays. It was a video, and they were like, when you're with your buddy and you're trying to figure out the controls on UFC video game.
Absolutely, without
that
question.
First round, they were just dancing around trying to figure out what they were doing.
And in Dana White's press after the fight, he was asked also, how did he feel about it and Romero's stance and all the, just literally just not enough activity. And he said, look, he said Romero shouldn't even get another shot. Romero was a fill-in. He didn't take advantage of his opportunity. We shouldn't even be discussing that after this performance. So he wasn't pleased with it at all. So the reason why we decided to talk about this fight first is because all of us on this show felt like that the women's strawweight fight was the main event.
Wait, but before we get into that, how do you feel about Adesanya versus Costa?
Oh, I was more excited for that than obviously seeing this matchup. That's really what we were supposed to get.
Yeah.
I liked how Costa was there, sort of jawing at both the guys in the ring.
Definitely,
I mean, you always love seeing that. It gives you anticipation for the next fight.
Adesanya's going to kill him, by the way.
I think so, too.
I think Israel
but he wants his head.
Yeah,
Costa wants his head.
Israel Adesanya is such a technical fighter. He reminds me of like a young Anderson Silva almost. How long he is and what he can do, how many different things he can do, his submission style. So I'm more excited to see that fight, obviously, than what we saw on Saturday.
Adesanya is definitely going to kill him. So let's get into the women's fight where we had Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili Zhang.
Vicious practicing those names all day.
Listen, let me explain to you. I've been practicing those names all day. I was so upset when I got Joanna Jędrzejczyk's name wrong on Friday. The second time, I was so mad. I went in the house. My wife even asked me what's wrong, and I'm just like, listen, you got to understand, if I'm going to do this, I have to hold myself to a high standard because these people, you have to put respect on their name.
Absolutely.
You have to put respect on their
these
name.
two women.
You have to put and
Zhang gave a vicious fight. I just want to make that clear. I just want to get that out.
So
It's
for all you
burning
guys that
inside of me.
didn't watch or don't know, Zhang defended her title. The fight was epic. If you've seen it, please go watch it again if you have to. Support them. They put on a performance and a half. Blows all over the place, left, rights, back heel, a fist, you name it. I mean, literally, Joanna Jędrzejczyk went from a very, very pretty Polish UFC fighter to looking like Megamind.
Looking like Frankenstein.
Looking like Megamind
Yeah.
at the end of the fight. Her head, so swollen. And I mean, not for nothing, Joanna also did a good job of retaliating and attacking and countering on Zhang's fight. Because Zhang's face was beat up too. She was leaking. She was bleeding on the side of her face.
She was a little bloody, but yeah, Joanna got the best out of that fight. I mean, good on her to make it all the way through because her head started to blow up in the middle of the fourth.
It looked like
round.
It was from the second round headbutt. There was a headbutt in the second round,
and then
she kept hitting her in that same spot.
It looked like her head looked like a helium balloon.
I know. I thought it was gonna explode.
Like one of those balloons that you get at Publix, and you it was like that.
Yeah, more helium, please. Yeah, that was. And her head was sort of shifted out. Her nose was crooked because she had broken her nose also. I mean, she came to that fight looking like an absolute bruiser. So the fact that she, was able to make it throughout the fight and then go to a decision and have it being a split decision, big on Joanna. But yeah, Zhang, is that her name?
Zhang.
Unbelievable fight from her. It was fun to watch. These two fighters were very technical. They were evenly matched. And Rogan said this himself. He thinks he's going to be a rematch. You got to have a
greatest
rematch.
women's fight I have ever seen.
That's what I said. As soon as I saw the end of the fourth, I was like, wow, we got one more round of this. I'm so excited. This is the best women's fight I've ever seen. And then Rogan came out in that fifth period, and he said, this is the best women's championship bout ever. Ever assembled.
You know what I've noticed in UFC in comparison to some boxing, and I don't want to get into that discussion because that's another topic,
yes.
But what I've noticed is that a lot of the hit and misses type stuff. So Zhang almost in a sense was like playing target practice. Like she was hitting a punching bag. And Joanna wasn't doing much moving of the head. So it just literally just bomb one after the other. Bomb one after the other. Bomb one after the other.
Joanna was more looking for spots.
Yeah.
Zhang was just taking to the approach where it was like, let me get glove on head.
Oh,
as much as I can.
She was getting so much leather on head.
Yeah, that was very strategic.
There were clean shots too. Like it's almost like sitting there saying, like, okay, the jab is coming, the jab is coming, the jab is coming, and you keep getting hit with the jab over and over and over again. It just so happens that Zhang's jab was that right hand over and over and over again.
Yeah, it was deadly, especially after, like Marcus said, the second round when the hematoma on her head starting to swell up. You go after that spot, just like we saw on Fury versus Wilder. After the second round, his eardrum started bleeding. You got to go after things like that. Even in the fight with Romero, where Adesanya accidentally poked him in the eye, that next round you saw Adesanya trying to go after that side of his head because he knows his vision was blurred. You got to just take what they're giving you. And Zhang did that perfectly, and I thought it was good that she won the fight.
Not for nothing. If I'm in charge of either one of those women's management, I'm trying to figure out a way to get the main event. I don't want to be a co-main event again. There's no way. Not after the performances they put on.
Yeah, if they get the ultimate, the rematch right away, the automatic rematch, which I don't know if it's gonna happen because Joanna, like we mentioned, it was the challenger and she lost, so she might have to fight another fight or two in order to gain that respect to get the championship bout again. But if so, yeah, I want that seeing the main event.
I will absolutely pay $69.99 to watch that again because that was pure enjoyment.
It was great,
entertaining, bloody. They went all out. They gave you. Romero was complaining that we didn't get our money's worth because nobody came to watch that fight, but the girls gave us our money's worth.
Right, and you could tell right away after the first round of the Romero Adesanya fight, they started booing the fans. And Rogan did something very smart. Rogan's like, these fans are spoiled because they just saw an amazing fight, and now they're expecting to see another one here.
Yeah, they're educated. They're educated fans. That's the difference. The fans want to see what they paid for, and they don't want to see what Romero Adesanya did. They want to see what Jacek and Zhang was putting on.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we're going back to our original point of Romero not doing enough. The last minute of the fight, I want you like a rabid dog. If you know you need a knockout in order to win the fight, which I don't know if he did or not. I'm sure if his corner was smart enough to tell him that. Right. Go all out. Try to get him on the ground. He didn't attempt to take out in the last minute of the fight, and that's where he screwed up. Because his reach, like we talked about, is like at least 5 inches of a deficit from Adesanya. So
yeah, he left a lot in the rings that he should have took advantage of. So now let me get to this part of the show. It's brought to you by ElCubanoSandwichShop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a cafe con leche or a natural pre-workout shot of that Cuban coffee to start your day. The daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's ElCubanoSandwichShop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC.
So we'll give a quick update on the weekend for our NBA lineups for Saturday and Sunday, whatever we missed. And then we'll talk about, obviously, what we want to speak, of course, about is the Lakers and LeBron on an absolute tear of these last couple weeks. So we'll jump into it. On Saturday, we had the Rockets beat the Hornets. The Hornets beat the Rockets 108-99. The Jazz took care of the Pistons 111-105. The Nuggets actually losing to the Cavaliers, which is weird, 104-102. Grizzlies taking care of the Hawks 118-101. Warriors downing the 76ers 118-114. Of course, the 76ers still have Embiid missing, right? And Simmons. And then we had the Kings beating the Trailblazers 123-111, which brings us to Sunday when we saw the bout between the Lakers and the Clippers. Did you catch that game? That was on TV.
Yeah, I watched both games. I watched that game, and obviously I watched the game that also happened on Friday night that I was telling you about that happened between the Lakers and the or was it Saturday? Saturday night, right?
Friday night, you're right. Lakers-Bucks, Lakers 113, Bucks 103.
So Friday night, Lakers-Bucks, and then obviously we watched the Lakers versus Clippers on Sunday.
Was that the game that Giannis got hurt in on Friday?
He has some strain of his capsule. I'm doctor terms. I have no idea. My wife enjoys that type of stuff. She's like, ooh, it gets her so excited because that's her field of expertise. But I mean, Giannis really didn't have the help that LeBron had. LeBron had AD. AD dropped 30, and with Giannis had a really good game. 31, 12, and I think 6 or 5 or something like that.
32, 11, and 6.
32, 11, and 6. But Middleton didn't do anything. Bledsoe didn't do anything. Matthews didn't do anything.
No.
The only player that really did something for the Milwaukee Bucks other than Giannis was DiVincenzo. That was it.
Yeah. 17 points.
That was
off
it.
The bench. Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to beat the Lakers on the road or beat the Clippers on the road when you're not getting enough from the supporting cast. The supporting cast needs to contribute in some way, shape, or form. So Giannis showed up to play, but the rest of the Bucks didn't.
Right, and we're going to see how that translates into the postseason. Can these guys step up that aren't necessarily superstars but are great cast around Giannis. Can they take the grueling, Western Conference and come out of that,
Personally, I still feel like Giannis is still the MVP. I see a lot of these channels, they want to anoint LeBron the MVP because of the spectacular weekend that he had. And LeBron did have a spectacular weekend, and hats off to him. But it's not about a weekend.
Right.
It's about 82 games.
Correct,
It's
yeah.
what you do overall of 82 games. And to me, from the games that we've already been judging as of right now, and as long as he can stay healthy, Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be back-to-back MVP in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think LeBron has had his last 2 weeks have been probably some of his like a 2 week stretch, probably one of the best 2 week stretches in his career. He's really had he's come back sort of not from the dead, but really to end the year strong here and put their team in a good position going into postseason. But Giannis, like you said, from a body of work standpoint, it's unmatched what he's done this season, game in and game out.
Absolutely. And the thing is to me, and this is just to me, and we could break it down because people have differences of opinions, and that's fine. And we could debate stuff all day long. I'm not trying to say I'm right. I'm not trying to say you're wrong or whatever it may be. But Giannis's supporting cast is lesser than LeBron's supporting cast. And then LeBron has AD, which is a 1A player. There is no 1A player for Kawhi, or there's no 1A player for Giannis on that level as Anthony Davis. Like, to me, Anthony Davis can lead a team on his own.
Yeah.
He's actually Lebron's Robin. While LeBron is Batman, AD is Robin.
Right.
Giannis doesn't have that. Middleton is too inconsistent. Bledsoe's not. He doesn't step up. And then Kawhi, obviously Kawhi has Paul George, but Paul George he only likes to play one side of the ball. Yeah. He only likes to play offense. He doesn't really like to. They on the telecast yesterday, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself talking about that game yet. But on the telecast yesterday, they were shouting out how good he was playing on defense in spurts. No. I need you to play good on defense the whole time that you're on the floor.
Yeah, especially coming into playoff time. And as far as Kawhi, like you said, yeah, Paul George, he's really not that proven in the postseason. So it's going to be, fun to see how they do in the Western Conference, and I would love to see that matchup, Lakers-Clippers, if we can.
And Kawhi, the way he plays is something that rubs off on everybody. So he elevates everybody's game. Because when you see the best player busting his tail on both sides of the ball, it's infectious. Yeah, it's infectious. Yeah. Yep. It's infectious. So I don't even have a problem with what they asked Pat Beverly after the game, where they were like, oh, how difficult is it to guard LeBron, his stand and third, blah, 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 blah. And it's not difficult at all. What is Patrick Beverly supposed to say? What do you want him to say? Oh, LeBron is a handful. He's so good, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to beat these guys. They're trying
in their own city.
Yeah, right. They're trying to overtake the Lakers. I don't have a problem with Patrick Beverly not kissing up to the reporter that's asking him questions on LeBron's greatness. Everybody knows LeBron is great.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that neither.
No.
I'm going to say, next time I see you, don't worry, I'm going to take care of business. That's it. Every time.
And especially you should expect that out of a guy like Pat Beverly. So, I mean, you get what you're there for as a reporter when you speak to Pat Beverly after a loss to a rival team in his city.
Now, let's talk about the amazing weekend that LeBron James had, because he needs the credit. He had an amazing weekend. He took down the Milwaukee Bucks. Great game there. He takes down the LA Clippers. Great game there. He was just doing everything. His free throws have been better. He's shooting great. He's going to the rack. He's assisting. He's getting others involved. He's playing defense. There was a moment in the game yesterday where I saw him. He dived on the floor for a ball late in the game to make sure that they retained possession on that game, just to try to seal that victory for them.
35-year-old man still getting after it.
I mean, I don't even know why people complain so much about him being 35 and being able to do it. Like, he's supposed to. He's LeBron James. He's voted, arguably one of the greatest players of all time.
And I was expecting to see it this year, because of this past year was the first time he was able to get some rest in the postseason. He didn't make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. He's been in the playoffs exponentially throughout his career. To have an off season where he could get the legs under them, rejuvenate a little bit, really let his body rest, enjoy some Taco Tuesdays and a little bit of wine, and just have
a bit of wine,
some downtime for himself. I think this is why you're seeing that difference, that spurt, that he's not so tired or whatever it may be. This is why you're seeing that different LeBron James. Now, I'm going to ride with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Is it time to panic for the Bucks? They've lost 3 out of their last 5 games.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think they're still the best team in my opinion overall as a team.
Yeah.
As a team. Injuries could kill any team. It can kill the Lakers, it can kill the Clippers, it can kill them as well. But as long as they stay healthy, I still feel this is the year that Giannis gets over the top and he gets that title because Kobe Bryant challenged him to win an MVP. He won the MVP. After he won the MVP, he said, "What's next? Go get that ring." So I think Giannis ends up getting that ring this year.
The Bucks better not find the Heat in the second round of the playoffs.
Oh, here comes the homer.
They better not find themselves in Miami in the second round of the playoffs.
Am I ever going to get through a show where this guy doesn't just homer talk?
Emilio, they are 0-2 against the Heat this year. They only have 11 losses.
Is this going to
the kryptonite?
Is it going to turn into a Tell 'em Why You Mad Cameron segment?
No, I'm not mad. I'm
happy.
Oh,
okay. I just
wanted
to make sure because I was about to start going. I was about to start to get going.
I'll save the rant for when the matchup, for when South Beach hits Game 2.
Absolutely. So let's get into this Week 5 XFL, and we're going to talk about the recap of XFL Week 5, and we're going to talk a little bit about Week 6 preview of XFL.
Yeah, another good week in the XFL. I mean, as far as our picks against the spread, this league is tough to figure out on a week-by-week basis because, we don't know as much as we think we know. It's only 5 weeks in. You went 2-2 this week. I went 1-3 myself, so sort of a down week as far as that's concerned, but a great week overall in football.
We came to an agreement I wouldn't wear the crown because I had an even week.
Yeah, you beat me in picks, but it's not too hard of a flex to go 500.
All right, I won't flex too much. So we're going to talk about the first game, obviously, and the first game was the Seattle Dragons versus the Houston Roughnecks.
Yep.
And you and I both talked about this. The Seattle Seahawks actually had a scout there to watch Mr. XFL PJ Walker.
Did they really? Well, they weren't disappointed. He had 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. One that came late in the game off a pick, but he balled out, and his counterpart did well too.
Yeah, and Cam Phillips also balled in that game too.
10 catches, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I knew he wasn't going to stay quiet. I mean, that was a one-game thing.
Yeah, and you got to think that PJ Walker's agent is letting him know that there's some scouts coming to see him this week.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get his boy, some action. Cam Phillips, he's trying to sort of bring him, up to the range.
Well, if Cam does his thing, he does his thing.
Of course.
Because he picks up all those yak yardage afterwards,
Of course, but maybe he had a bigger eye for him this week, knowing that there might be some NFL talent watching them.
The Seattle Dragons were better with Daniels at quarterback. They tried to stay in the game. They actually were winning the game for a little while. But Mr. XFL, no Houston Roughnecks are a really good team, and they ended up coming back and winning the game. And you know what? They've made $500,000 extra this year, which is a cool $11,000 in total for each player because they're 5-0.
Yeah, in just over a month. So that's good. Again, we talked about it last week. It pays the bills. And shout out the Seattle Dragons, like you said. They played on the road back-to-back weeks against the top 2 teams in the league, the Battlehawks and the Roughnecks, and covered both lines against the spread.
Because I think they're good enough to. That's what I said. I think they're good enough to cover the spread. I don't think they're good enough to win games yet.
Right. And B.J. Daniels, like you talked about, not allowed through the air, only 114 yards, but attributed to. He does give him a chance. 2 rushing touchdowns. So he did what he needed to do throughout the game in order to stay competitive with them.
Absolutely. He's a lot different because he's not turning the ball over, and he's giving them a chance to stay in the game. Did he have 1 turnover in that game?
No, unless he had a fumble that I didn't see. Not an interception though.
So, but he's giving the Seattle Dragons a chance to actually get a chance to win the game.
Right,
but
and that's all you need.
Yeah, they played Mr. XFL, Mr. PJ Walker, June Jones, and the boys are ready to play down at the H. They're doing a great job.
5-0,
and they're 5-0, and they got the W, and they definitely lead. They're the number 1 team in the XFL. So we're gonna go into the second game, which you had.
That is New York Guardians at the Dallas Renegades.
And just for the record, I said this on last week's show that they were going to cover the spread and they were going to win money line.
Yep, we both had. That was the one game that we both agreed on, and we won each as an 8.5 point underdog. The New York Guardians won, and you mentioned, and you had them picking outright on the money line.
Right.
Where 2 weeks ago you had the LA Wildcats as minus 8.5 point underdogs winning overall.
I just felt like, Cameron, that the New York Guardians, with Perez as their quarterback, have found somebody to not make the mistakes that McGloin was making earlier in the year. The defense for the New York Guardians is really good. Mm-hmm. They hold teams down, and if you can give the offense of the other team limited chances and give your team more chances to succeed, You're going to. They have a receiver duo that doesn't put up the numbers as Cam Phillips or whatever it may be, or anybody in Houston, but they get the job done.
Right.
So Perez is doing a good job of facilitating the game plan that's needed from him, from his coach, and you're seeing the results as they go to Dallas and get a win on the road.
Yeah, 2-0 in the last 2 weeks for the New York Guardians. So good at them saving their season. They're now 3-2. Like you said, Luis Perez, 230 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but doing enough to just get it done, get the job done, let his defense excel. And then it was sort of a battle of a backup quarterback situation. We saw Landry Jones for Dallas get hurt last week. Philip Nelson, the guy from the Cough League.
I call him check down Nelson.
Check down Nelson?
Check down, because it's like he's literally just dinking and dunking and maybe taking a shot, or overthrow here, overthrow there. Maybe he gets a long one. He's not really getting the ball into the end zone.
He played very safe, and in this league, which is more of an aerial attack league, you cannot play it safe. He had just over 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah,
Can't get it done with that.
That's not good enough. And you know what? Not for nothing, it's kind of messed up because you got some guys on the other side of the ball that they're trying to win. They're trying to win on that defensive end. So they're giving you multiple opportunities to get in the end zone. When you don't start getting in the end zone, it starts to become the defense versus the offense.
Right. Yeah, it becomes an internal.
Yeah, it becomes
battle.
internal. You end up getting in the locker room, and the defense starts shouting out in the locker room, "Hey, offense, you got to do your job. You got to do your job. You got to do your job. Let's go. Let's go. We're over
Sort
here.
of a
Ball
Willie
hawking. You gotta do your
Beeman.
job."
Willie Beeman. Any given Sunday type of scenario, yeah, where they're drawing back and forth.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to Sunday's game. And on Sunday's game, I had that. And we had the St. Louis Battlehawks traveling to D.C. to play the D.C. Defenders. And now, Marcus, I know you also saw this on social media. Did you see the beer snake that they did in D.C.?
Yeah, I checked it out.
The beer snake. And I actually shouted out one of our followers, and Alexander, I believe, is the hashtag. I shouted her out on Instagram to ask if she was part of that beer snake.
Yeah,
if
no,
she contributed to it.
just to give everyone some reference for those who don't know, the beer snake was born. The idea of a beer snake was born last year in the MLB when fans in the stands started to stack up plastic cup of empty beers and create a long snake out of them. And it grew and grew and grew. And baseball banned it every time they would have ushers walking around pulling them.
Well, not in the extra fun
right,
league,
exactly. What did the XFL do?
They accepted it. They even have the commissioner, Oliver Luck, contributed. I saw on social media there was a page that said that there was 1,200 beer cups in total. And they started the chant of drinking more beer. What a great promotion for Bud Light Seltzer or whatever Bud Light drinks that you have there, that you want the fans to continue to drink more beer in the crowd so they can make this beer snake longer and longer and longer and longer.
And it does nothing. There's no safety hazard. It's just a careless...
It's heavy, though.
They're heavy, but I mean, it is cups at the end of the day. But there's no... The only thing that it does is better. And what is it better? Sales for the concession sales.
And it's crowd environment, because even the coach at the end of the day, Pat Hamilton, walked over and he was just so happy that the fans were engaged in it. So let's get back to the game, though. The actual game was a shocker because Cam and I both had the St. Louis Battlehawks winning that game and covering the -4, and that didn't happen.
I think everyone had the Battlehawks. I don't know. It's a weird thing to see.
On our IG page, I think it was 90% for the Battlehawks.
I mean, I see it. Shout out the 10% that took the DC Defenders. And I'm calling them the Defenders because they're now no longer pretenders to me.
They haven't lost a game at home.
Yeah. I guess their only shot of winning the championship is to have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. Because if once they get on an airplane, it's a wrap.
Now let's talk about how bad of a game, once again, Cardell Jones had. And this is how bad it was. It was 2 passes and 1 was picked.
Yeah, he
it.
didn't even have a game.
He didn't even have a game.
That's how bad of a drive he had to open up the game. He went over 2.
Said, "Forget that.
You're out."
And he pulled him for Tyree Jackson.
Tyree Jackson, who played in Buffalo in his collegiate career.
I remember that, dude.
Kid's a baller, man.
Kid's a baller.
If you're a gambler, if you bet on college football and what's it called? The WAC?
The MAC?
No, the MAC.
MAC,
yeah. And the MAC starts getting Wednesday, Tuesday games, a game in Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, it's the only games on. And Tyree Jackson was a name that we remember, and he balled out.
He did his thing, and the defenders ended up winning that game. Jordan Tiamo didn't have his typical game. He was only 15 of 25 or 174. Didn't have a touchdown. So they played extremely conservative St. Louis. They did not open up the playbook. Their run game was okay for the game, but they really didn't take their chances down the field. Tiamo looked like a totally different quarterback in comparison to his games that he played at home in St. Louis. And you know what? The defenders ended up getting the win. The defense tucked in. The defensive line got sacks, and they just stood in the game.
Yeah, and we knew. I thought through the first 2 weeks of the year that the DC Defenders defense was the best in the league. So it's nice to see them get back into form. But I would have liked to see Jordan Tiamo throw the ball a little bit more.
Yeah,
they only threw the ball 25 times.
Too conservative for my liking. The play calling was too conservative.
They had, I guess, because it was only a one-score game. They decided to stick with the run. They had two running backs, both Matt Jones and Christine Michael, who had some time with the Packers and the Seahawks. They both dropped 70 yards, and Tiamo dropped 30 yards on the ground. But you need to keep the ball in Tiamo's hands.
Tiamo did not look like his exciting self that he was in the past 2-week games.
No.
He just looked vanilla, bland. He looked regular. It didn't look like the excitement Mr. Jordan Tiamo that we were seeing before. I was waiting for it, and it never came.
Yeah, he took a dip this game, not only in his overall season-long completion percentage that we like to talk about, but also he didn't score a touchdown. So he now has 5 throwing touchdowns in 5 weeks and only like 2 on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's starting to not uncrumble, but it did not look like what it looked like the first 4 weeks. And
shout out to the defenders for getting the W at home to a really good team that didn't look like a really good team that day, but to a really good team in the Seattle Battlehawks.
Yeah, the defenders are back on track, whether it's Cardale Jones or Tyree Jackson. It looks like the team's back on track. The defense is roaring again, so we'll see. I'd like to see Tyree Jackson continue to get work because you can tell Cardale Jones has the yips. He's in some sort of a medical
rut.
Right?
He's in a rut without question. And then in the last game that you had, we're going to go, the Tampa Bay Vipers had to travel all the way to L.A. and take on the L.A. Wildcats. And I swear to you, this was a Pac-12 game.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching, like, Oregon versus Washington.
Yeah, or like Texas Tech versus like Kansas State. It was a lot of points, not a lot of defense, which is surprising because we talked great things about the Tampa Bay Vipers defense.
They just didn't seem like themselves, though.
I don't know. Maybe that's what happens.
The week before, they blitzed 49 out of 50 plays. This week, they barely blitzed. I don't know what Jerry Glanville was thinking.
Maybe they wanted to fall back into a zone, and that's why they threw them off, because in the first half they didn't have a lot of offensive success. LA, they only had 6 points, and then in the last like 8 minutes of the second quarter, they blew up and made it 24-20 before the half ended. So maybe something's changed. They realized what they were doing out there, and then from there, like you said, it was a Pac-12 or a Big 12 matchup.
Shout out to Josh Johnson, who balled. He absolutely balled. What was his numbers?
288 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
He found 4 different receivers.
He had some dimes.
He had some throws. I saw a portion of the game where he called the booth upstairs and he was like, "Yo, y'all need to chill, relax. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just get the play in and that's it. Let's go. Let's keep it moving." Because he was feeling himself. He was in such a rhythm that you could have put another 5 guys out there and he would have found the right guy.
Yeah, I'm ready to make him my second quarterback after P.J. Walker. I think he jumped Jordan Tiamo this week.
I don't disagree with you, not one bit. You could see the NFL experience in his head. And they were saying it on telecast that he would call out dummy plays just to get people to move in certain directions and keep that play on, just to be able to get the movement that he needed to get this handoff or this throw. Just playing chess with defense.
He's becoming football smart now that he's able to get week in and week out experience.
Shout out to Trey McBride, who ended up having a rib injury and getting hurt and coming back in the game and contributing in the game. So he wanted to tough it out. Let's see what his availability is going to be for this week. But it was a really enjoyable game, a shootout out west between the Tampa Bay Vipers and LA Wildcats.
Yeah, and we got to jump into a promo here, Emilio, but I'm not done talking about this game. I got a few other things I'd like to mention.
Nah, without question. This part of the show is brought to you by ElCubanoSandwichShop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a cafe con leche or a natural pre-workout shot of Cuban coffee to start your day. Their daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's ElCubanoSandwichShop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC. Man, did I just see that right? Where you're sitting there and you're putting up the deuces,
I
man?
throw the peace sign.
Getting the behind the scenes
production
footage
snap
from our production team back here, Mr. Marcus Mack.
Yeah, the do-it-all overtime working Marcus Mack on the sound and the photo.
So let's finish up this XFL talk.
I'm not really one to stay up on Sunday night to watch late games. This game started at 9 o'clock and ended at what felt like 2 in the morning. But I had to stay up to finish this game. It was that good. It ended in a 7-point loss for the Tampa Bay Vipers, who, just like we talked about with St. Louis, sort of changing their playbook or their mentality going into the game offensively. They didn't stick to what they know best, which is the run for Tampa Bay.
Well, they couldn't because one of their running backs ended up getting hurt.
Not Patrick Taylor. What's his name?
No, not the Smith kid.
Oh, okay. So I'd have to look up his name. I think it's Taylor then. Mm-hmm. I have to look. But yeah, we didn't get a lot of rushing attack. I mean, Taylor Cornelius had another touchdown on the ground. He had 300 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, but his 2 interceptions killed him because he had you see the one interception from Big 97?
Oh yeah, the lineman that caught it. It was Cornelius just didn't see him. He didn't expect the lineman to be there. But Cornelius didn't push the ball down the field until it was too late in the game.
Yeah, he sort of looks like a safe quarterback also. He sort of looks like he's terrified to lose his job to Aaron Murray, who's patiently waiting. But
they interviewed at the game.
They interviewed again.
The game, and Cam cannot stand that. I'm texting Cam during the game. Cam's like, Jesus Christ, Aaron Murray again.
So cheesy, man. I just hate the guy. Just go back to announcing on BSN Sports or whatever he was doing. But anyway, the big man that got that interception, we got to post this on IG because you see he ran 40 yards and then he jumped. He sort of did the Robbie Anderson. He jumped into the stands and he started celebrating with Tampa's fan base. I mean, that was
the best.
LA's fan base.
The best part about that whole thing is when the I forgot her name, the interview, and I apologize for that. I'll get it right next show. She goes onto the sidelines to interview these guys for those in-game interviews. And she's asking them, begging with them, no cursing. And the first curse that comes out his mouth is sugar honey iced tea is different. She goes back to you guys right away. You know what I'm saying? She didn't even do the interview. It's sugar honey iced tea is different. Go back to the booth.
Yeah, they don't have that 5 to 7 second delay. They don't look like they want to use it. But
we didn't get a chance to mention, and I just want to bring this up real quick, about the controversy at the end of the Houston Roughnecks and Seattle Dragons games. And shout out to the XFL for holding the referee accountable for that 3-second mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. They put out a statement. A lot of people are talking about this. The XFL put out an official statement saying, this is what happened at the end of that game. This is what was supposed to happen. And because of this, we are sorry. We are taking accountability for this, responsibility for what happened.
NFL, pay attention.
Honestly, this was a huge red flag. This was almost like NFL should have been at me. Because I know that was directly at me. You need... I hope their eyes are very wide to this because the comment section were absolutely ripping the NFL, praising the XFL.
The XFL knows how to get on Front Street on some of that stuff.
Get in front of it all,
get in front of it all without question. So now we're gonna get into Week 6 previews of the XFL. I'm gonna talk about some of the games that we're gonna have this week, just briefly because we're gonna touch on it on Wednesday's show. But we're just gonna remind the audience of the times, the locations, and what channels that these games could be watched on, because a lot of the people are very thankful when we do that.
No doubt. Yeah, stay tuned for Wednesday when we make our picks. We'll try to do better this time against the spread.
So we got the first game, which I'm going to cover, is 2 o'clock on ABC. It's the Houston Roughnecks traveling to New York to play the New York Guardians.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Then
actually.
You got the 5 o'clock game, which you'll cover on FS2. You got the St. Louis Battlehawks versus the Tampa Bay Vipers. And then on Sunday, the 4 o'clock game, which is the first game I'm going to cover, will be on FS1. You got the Dallas Renegades versus the DC Defenders. And the last game, which you'll cover, which will be on ESPN2, you got the LA Wildcats going to Seattle. Hopefully, you don't get the coronavirus.
West Coast.
And they're going to do a Seattle Dragons.
Oh, I'm excited for the Saturday matchups.
Yeah, Century Lake Field. The Saturday matchups are really, really good matchups, without a doubt. So that concludes our XFL talk. Let's get into our new segment, which we're trying today, right, Marcus Mack?
Yeah, social media Mondays.
Social media Mondays, and Cam came up with this segment. And social media Mondays are going to be things that myself, Cameron, and Marcus are literally sending to each other and seeing and just posting and like, oh, you think this is a good idea? You think this is a good idea? Just basically what's trending over the weekend.
Absolutely. So the first one we'll look at is one that, Amelia, you actually sent me from All Baseball News on Instagram. Breaking: the Angels have fired their longtime visiting clubhouse manager Brian Harkins after an investigation found that he was supplying opposing pitchers with illegal substances to better grip the ball. He was in Anaheim for 30 years as the visiting clubhouse manager.
Now, there's always been a little bit of a acceptance to this because some people, Marcus, they rather the pitcher have grip on the ball than not have grip on the ball because they don't want to get hit with the ball.
Yeah.
So there's these clear substances that some of these people in the Midwest sell. They do really, really well, by the way. And these clubs buy these substances, and they're clear, and they're really sticky. And the pitchers use them. Now, almost every pitcher uses it. Either they use that or they use pine tar. And this guy was literally like giving it to the opposite team, and he got caught. He got caught. He wasted 30 years of a job to cheat.
Now, is it that much of an advantage for the pitchers to have what he was giving them?
Yeah, like, is it really that effective?
It is effective. It is effective because when it comes to the ball and the spin rate and, getting miles per hour on your pitch, it does help out a little bit. But hitters accept it because they rather the pitcher have grip on the ball to be able to throw it where they want to throw it than not have grip on the ball and hit me in my head, hit me in my ribs, hit me in my knee, hit me in my shin, break my shin.
Well, that pretty much spoils my hot take then, because I was gonna say if the batters almost like that the pitchers have that for better grip.
They don't like it. It's just acceptable.
Okay, because I was gonna say, this is another thing that Trout. Can you imagine what he would be doing if the guy wasn't handing pitchers this tip to better deliver the ball?
I don't know if you guys are probably a little bit too young, but I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Major League One, first one, the original.
Come on, of course.
You got the old man who he has like Ben Gay on his neck and this on his back, and that's basically how it is. It's a whole bunch of stickum stuff the substances that they use to try to gain an advantage, but the hitters are okay with it because they rather the pitcher have grip on the ball.
The accuracy to place the pitch where he needs it.
Absolutely. Okay. So the second social media post that we saw is we went to we did the cup thing already. The second one is we're gonna discuss the horrible LA Rams logo.
Man.
It was awful.
Woof. It was bad.
I'm hoping that it's not even I'm really hoping that that's not even it.
It looks like we'll post it on our IG if we can. But the new LA Chargers logo that they unveiled.
No, LA
season.
Rams.
Excuse me. Yes, I say LA Chargers because it looks like the Chargers. It looks like Los Angeles Chargers. If at a first glance.
I don't know. Maybe the NFL should call the XFL and figure out how or who is in charge of their logos because the XFL logos are dope.
I know they need to call the XFL and figure out a lot from them. But especially that logo it's hot trash. It looks like a generic. You know when you're making a team in Madden?
It is hot garbage.
You know when you're making a team in Madden and you don't want to use an already established logo, so they give you those generic Google image logos. It looks like they just yanked that and put it in front of an L and an A.
It is literally a that garbage that you leave out in front of your house.
Hot
and
trash.
Before, you put out the garbage too late, and you thought it was early enough for the garbage people to pick it up.
You missed bulk pickup. So now you got to throw it out with the regular trash.
I really love the elaborate description here.
It's just straight. It's such hot garbage that the raccoons won't even eat it. That's how much
something you yank out of your disposal that gets caught up in there. It's a trash. It really is. I don't like the logo at all. It's
disgusting.
I feel bad for the Rams. They get their team taken away from them from St. Louis, and then they get handed a trash logo.
It's disgusting. And then another social media post that we discussed was Maya Moore helps convicted prisoner get justice.
Yeah, I saw this. This is really cool. She sat out this past WNBA season, and she's one of the stars of the league. And she sat out
She's out the year before too.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, she was gonna sit out.
So and she doesn't get any paychecks for not playing, right?
Nope.
So she sacrificed 2 years of advancing her career in the WNBA and her paychecks to go along with that, in order to for her cause, which is to get this man out of jail that was facing a 50-year sentence for a crime he didn't do.
And he did get out.
Yeah.
He did get out. So shout out to Maya Moore. And you know what? Not for nothing, representing International Women's Day, which was yesterday. We didn't get a chance. We're not on the show, so we represent all the women, and we're thankful for all the women in sports that help out. Amen. Just anything, not just sports, just in general. Anything that you do. International Women's Day should be every day. It shouldn't just be one day. We appreciate you guys. I saw a lot of stuff on social media and a lot of stuff on the networks, basically just shouting. I feel like they should be shouted out every day because what they do is remarkable.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, just big shout-outs, Maya Moore. I'm actually going to watch. This makes me want to watch her next games.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited for her to get going.
She garnishes that attention. Also, shout-out to the women's national team who ended up beating Spain 1-0. Julie Ertz, which is Zach Ertz's wife, got the header, so they ended up winning that game.
We got a filthy women's soccer team.
Without question. I mean, they deserve the equal pay. I hope they get the equal pay. They do the same exact thing, so why shouldn't they get the same exact money? You know,
yeah.
I mean, I get that the sport doesn't generate as much.
Yeah,
but when you're winning, when you're that good, man.
Yeah, you can't pay him the same amount. It's tough to do that because where are you going to get the money from if the viewers aren't there and the marketing and the advertisement aren't there? But there needs to be a percentage or a cut for winning. If they win, what they do, pay them.
They just want the same percentage, period. Meaning like, okay, we know that we don't generate enough money, but we want to be paid the same, period. So for example, if a male counterpart gets 49%, like how in the NFL, it's a 49% or 47% split or whatever, they want to be the same. And they're not even close to the male.
And even if it is the same in percentage, it's not going to be the same amount in dollars at the end of it because of the generation, how much money is coming into the sport. So in my opinion, let them get a higher percentage and at least get closer to a dollar amount if that's what it takes, if they're going to consistently win like this.
Absolutely, without question. So we just enjoyed International Women's Day. Shout out to all the women that help out within sports. And we're just extremely thankful for everything that you do. So that is going to conclude episode 13. Please click, like, subscribe, comment on all podcast platforms, on YouTube. Comment. The engagement on social media has been great. Marcus Mack, I appreciate you. Yep. Cameron Dinner, I appreciate you.
No doubt.
Check us out, episode 14.
Fist bump from the side.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.